It was an emotional day as Denmark faced Belgium, but Belgium took care of business courtesy of Kevin De Bruyne's magic and then some. Also, the Netherlands 2-4-2 in that one. And we look ahead to England and Scotland and some news regarding Tottenham. We have James Benge once again to discuss it all. Euro 2020 and much more. Qué Golazo begins right now. Hey everybody, welcome to Qué Golazo, and joining us again, James Benge. I wanted some more James Benge this week, and we have him. James, what's up, bud?
Oh, I'm good, thanks. For those of us watching on YouTube, I'm drinking my can of sparkling low-calorie soft drink. Other products are available, but if Cristiano Ronaldo won't hawk their product, I will.
Can I just say, there's a lot of hate on Coke. Like, I love, if you don't want to drink it, it's fine. You don't need to put it away, right? I mean, it's not like Coke need the help, I guess.
I mean, hasn't Ronaldo kind of,
he's done KFC advertising. Yeah. Like, it's really not like, get off your high horse, Chris. Right? I mean,
anytime you do an advert, like Bill Hicks said, you've sold your soul to the devil. It's too late to turn back now, Ronaldo.
Exactly. If you're selling fried chicken, you can sell a little bit of Coke. Come on now, and Heineken as well. Come on. I mean, it's not my favorite beer, but yeah. I just feel bad for them. I feel bad for the big conglomerates, James Benge. That's what I'm saying.
It's been a tough week for the big conglomerates, but not Viacom CBS.
Absolutely. Anyway, before we get fired, welcome everybody to Qué Golazo, James Benge and yours truly, talking some Euro 2020, and we're going to chat about England and Scotland as well, and some Tottenham news, because Tottenham always never really disappoints in terms of a quiet day. So we have a lot going on there. But let's talk Euro 2020, Thursday's action. Let's begin, James Benge. It was a very emotional day in Copenhagen. Just unbelievable scenes from both sides as Denmark faced Belgium on the 10th minute, which is Christian Eriksen's number for the national team. The game stood still. Everybody stood up, applauded. I mean, it was just remarkable in so many ways. And Denmark started well, but, Belgium were Belgium, especially Lukaku and KDB. Talk to me about this game, just your overall thoughts on it.
I thought kind of what was really enjoyable about it was that there was a real game there, and that I think, Denmark had spoken before the game about going out and doing something special and still playing to win this tournament. And we'll see, what this means. They'll probably need a quite good result against Russia, but I came away with such admiration for the way this football team played. Utterly fearless, intense, relentless. Come on to talk about Belgium in a minute, I'm sure, but the atmosphere, you were seeing that huge Eriksen shirt that was rolled out onto the pitch before kickoff. Yeah, stopping. I believe that, I was looking this up. Basically, Eriksen's hospital bed is the other side of the park.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
I mean, I think he suspects, he may well have been able to see the stadium, and I'm sure he would have been able to hear that wonderful atmosphere from his bedroom or his hospital room. And I have to say, I thought, the Danish fans, the Danish players, everyone, made the last, they offered something really positive after what's been such a tough few days. An excellent football performance. Joachim Mæhle was fantastic. Damsgaard as well. Those two out wide. I think they probably should have won the game. I thought they were excellent. Braithwaite wasted chances. Courtois had a great game in goal, and you kind of learn that when you're playing the best teams in Europe, whether it's club or international, they're going to punish you if you don't take your chances.
Yeah, absolutely right. And it obviously helps when you have Witsel and De Bruyne and Hazard coming on, and it's going to be difficult. FIFA ranks #1 team. It's never going to be easy. But to your point, Denmark were outstanding, just regardless of the scoreline. Just a heroic performance, everything that they've gone through. To your point, the stadium behind them. And Belgium were very respectful of the moment, to be honest. I don't even know how you deal with that when you're the opponent. It's like, we need to understand the grandiosity of what's going on, but at the same time, we have a game to play. And that can really be significant. I feel like that's kind of what Roberto Martinez said at halftime. He was like, guys, I understand the occasion, But we have to all respect Eriksen and Denmark by doing the best that we can do. And I feel that that's what kind of happened in the second half when Kevin De Bruyne came on and Witsel and Eden Hazard, and then Lukaku just, all he needs is just a moment. He didn't score today, but just everything that he did was amazing. Just Belgium is just such a force, aren't they?
Going forward, yes.
Good point. Defensively, there's definitely question marks. Yeah, good point.
It is going to be a huge task for whoever they face in the final rounds of this tournament to hold that attack at bay. Lukaku is, he's playing like an even higher grade version of him at his best at Everton, which is always what I think of as prime Lukaku. I know he's been phenomenal at Inter Milan, but particularly the way he drifts out wide and then uses that as his angle to kind of build a head of steam. Wonderful. It wasn't just, when you see someone kind of hold the ball up with two defenders around him, like he did for that, for De Bruyne's goal, everyone sort of thinks of it as like a power thing. It is, no doubt. But it's also just, the technical excellence to keep that ball and keep moving the play where you want it. The shooting opportunity is gone. You're not going to cross it because you want to be aiming to Lukaku. So you'll keep it moving and you'll cycle it out to Tielemans, and then phenomenal by De Bruyne, who came back and was playing as well as ever. But, as I said, I think the reason I'm not quite buying Belgium as winners is it was the game plan for Denmark was so simple. And I just didn't feel like I could see how Belgium could answer it. You hit the space in behind the wing backs and you drag Vertonghen and Alderweireld out of position, and then what's going to happen because they're old centre backs and they've got wing backs in Hazard and Meunier who aren't very good defending. No Castagna back for the rest of the tournament. I just don't see that Roberto Martinez can fix this. And I think in the end, whether it's Italy, whether it's France, England, there will be a team that has a better balance and has more cutting edge up front that will rip through this defense and win quite convincingly.
Yeah, no, good point. It's the same thing that I mentioned about Italy, which is, with all due respect to the previous two opponents, there's going to be tougher competition, and that's really when you're going to be tested. So we will see what happens in the round of 16. But other results as well, Ukraine, 2-1 against North Macedonia, another goal for North Macedonia, pretty good. Andrei Shevchenko, happy with his team. Ukraine's kind of intriguing, aren't they? We talked about Yarmolenko.
Yeah, Yarmolenko's wonderful for a player that's not getting in the West Ham team. It is that fun mix of kind of wide forwards that can do a lot, and it helps that Yaremchuk's having quite a good start to the tournament as well. I think a few of the teams we've seen around the Euros so far, you go, yeah, nice wide forwards. I mean, this is almost the thing with Denmark. Yeah, some nice build up, and then no one to put it in the back of the net. If you've got Yaremchuk, you've got Yarmolenko, who, we've spoken about, really top quality at what he does best. You've got a chance come the round of 16. And I think, looking at the results in the other game in Group C, what's
C? Yeah, C. Yeah,
it's kind of winding down as we speak now. Like they could trounce Austria. Coming on to speak about Austria are garbage.
Yeah,
I have hated watching every minute of them playing because there are talented players there that, aside from about 15 minutes against North Macedonia, have done naffle. I don't know if it's the case in the States as well, but with the British commentary we have here, everyone's just looking at David Alaba going, why is he so far away from the important, why is your best player, and yes, I know he plays centre-back for Bayern Munich, why is he so far away from anywhere that he can impact the game positively? I initially said at the start of this game, Austria are going to be the team you forget were at Euro 2020. I'm not sure that's true anymore, because I don't think I will ever allow myself to forget how much I hated seeing this team at Euro 2020, because I was quite excited for them, and they've not let their country down. They've won a game, but they've let me down, and in many ways that's more important.
So don't fly into Vienna, I think, any day soon. I'm not sure if you'll
love it. It's such a nice city.
I know, it's a beautiful country as well. But yes, as we are speaking, the Netherlands beating Austria 2-0. Frank de Boer, we give a lot of stick. We give him a lot of stick here at Qué Golazo, and rightly so. but 2 wins out of 2. James Benge, no Virgil van Dijk. The lift is getting back into, contention. I mean, there's a lot of talent there. So, but what do you make of the Netherlands?
Yeah, I think we're all going to go down. Frank de Boer could be holding up the European Championships, and we go, yeah, but is he the guy?
So true.
But the system is kind of working fairly nicely. That front three in particular, Wijnaldum was slightly less attack-minded, I thought, today than in the game against Ukraine, and I think there's kind of been a little bit of a zag back towards, so let's try and be a bit more solid. But he's making really nice late runs into the box.
Yeah.
Wing backs are great fun. Denzel Dumfries is everything you would hope for from a man
He's
named
great.
Denzel. Weghorst is he is my thing every time, particularly with relation to England, but whenever you I'm talking in the build up to tournaments, I'm always like, just give yourself a tall striker, because it's international football. You don't have a lot of time on the training pitch. And if every once in a while you've got someone that you can knock the ball long to, who can take it down, find a teammate, that will be really helpful. And he's so unselfish. There was a moment, it was it was really interesting. Gary Lineker was talking about this in commentary. Ball over the top to Weghorst, chests it down and looks for the pass across to Depay,
who misses it, skies it. Yeah,
skies it. And he was sort of saying, you're doubling your chances there for something to go wrong, because you've got to get the pass right, and the pass wasn't great, and you've got to get the shot right, as opposed to just getting the shot right. I can see why it was a really hard shot to take. I think he had a defender quite near him. But I think in many ways, I really like the fact that Weghorst kind of goes, no, I think I can try and get it to, if the pass was slightly lower for Depay, that's a goal, a really easy opportunity, as opposed to hitting it on the volley across the far post. I like that bond between those two.
Yeah, because you know what? A lot of other strikers would they'd have just taken the shot. Like, they wouldn't even looked on the left side. So yeah, a testament to like how far Peter Crouch's career went. I mean, not to say that it was just about his height, but he offers something that many other teams can't do. So yeah, it's a good point. Listen, it's a very balanced Netherlands side, and I know everybody. If you're Dutch and you're enjoying Frank de Boer, I know, but he does have a lot of talent in this squad, and it would be very shocking to me that he doesn't get a win against this Austrian side, which, to James's point, have been pitiful. And even Ukraine, to be honest, who, by the way, made it an interesting game with a 3-2 win. So, time will tell to see what happens later on. But 2 out of 2, not bad. Can you see them going further than round of 16?
Yeah, maybe. They've got a great midfielder, got a defense that can. Frankie de Jong. This is
great
not news to anyone, but yeah.
No, he's everywhere as well for the Netherlands as well. He's not just covering one side. It's amazing. But anyway, the game's wrapping up 2-0 to the Netherlands, and that is that for Thursday's action. We're gonna take a quick break. When we come back, we're gonna talk to Benji a little bit about Friday, including, of course, England against Scotland, and also some Tottenham news, because there's always Tottenham news. Qué Golazo, we'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody, to Qué Golazo. James Benge here. Benge, before we talk about Friday and the big one, England against Scotland, Euro 96 vibes, of course. Let's talk about Tottenham for a second. I mean, it's just all crumbling down. Fonseca was meant to be there. The talks went off, and then Gattuso, apparently. What's going on? Tell me. Talk to me.
Depends who you ask. Some of the indications from Italy are that the signs within London in terms of the financial side of Fonseca is that wasn't an issue for them. In Italy, that it's being said that it's something to do with his tax status, his own personal tax status in Rome, which also I think comes down to the fact that he has a university degree. Again, these sort of things only happen to Tottenham. So ultimately, this deal has sort of fallen apart, but that's not too disappointing for Paratici, the sporting director, who arrived a few weeks ago, kind of as part of a ploy to get Antonio Conte. That didn't work. Him, Pochettino, Ten Hag.
He didn't want Fonseca.
Yeah. Yeah, I think in the end he really wanted Gattuso, and this opportunity has kind of all broken today with Gattuso leaving Fiorentina, who didn't want anything to do with his agent Jorge Mendes.
Understandable.
And he is now, it seems, and I think we have to kind of caveat this because we've had two, what seemed to be certain or strong possibilities with Fonseca that we thought was certain. Conte, we thought that was going to happen. And even Pochettino, there was a moment where you thought they're going to pull this off here. So I'm not saying anything until it's done. But now it appears that Rino Gattuso is coming in. I think we, maybe outside of Serie A, the view is he's kind of a motivational hard man guy. And I think if you look at his Milan team and his Napoli team, there's more to it than meets the eye.
Yeah, I think we have a lot of connections more to him as a player than a manager outside of Italy. I think that's what's going on, right?
And they've been relatively successful given their ability. I know Napoli, kind of fell short in the Champions League this season and in the Europa League, but they're not quite the team they were under Sarri. I think he's done well there. He will do reasonably well. It's going to be a crash course for him in the Premier League, and he's going to be doing it quite possibly without his best player in Harry Kane. It's going to be trying circumstances, and it is interesting that they are appointing a manager who has just left Fiorentina because of these issues with his agent. I think it's safe to say it's interesting. Maybe any more than that might not be safe to say.
What does this mean for Harry Kane, do you think? I mean, it's hard to predict the future, but, there's inconsistency and the inability to gain any kind of balance, stability in the club can't be good for their main star.
Yeah, I think that Tottenham will always hope they can change his mind, but everything that has happened throughout their attempts to appoint a manager, which we have to remember, goes back to
a long time
before the EFL Cup final. This goes back to April. It all points to an organisation that just isn't really on top of things and that isn't going places, and that isn't the place you want to stay if you're approaching 27, 28 and you want to win trophies. In the end, does this really kind of change the whole negotiating landscape? No, it probably still doesn't mean that, it doesn't mean that Kane would go on strike, which I think is always the way you really leverage this situation. No one believes that would happen with Kane, but it just, if you were a Tottenham fan or you were Daniel Levy, you were hoping against all hope that he'd come back from a successful Euros and go, I want to win trophies with Tottenham.
Yeah.
He's going to be looking at this and going, I want to, but I can't. I just can't.
Yeah, it's very tricky to try and figure anything out. Obviously, the focus is on England and the European Championship, but this is still a story yet to be finished this summer, I believe, and we will see. Anyway, speaking of England, let's wrap up here for Friday's action. Of course, Croatia play the Czech Republic. Actually, before that, even as well, Sweden, I believe, face Slovakia at 9 a.m. Eastern. Croatia, Czech Republic at 12 p.m. Eastern. 3 p.m. Eastern, evening in Europe. England against Scotland. Give me the latest here, especially on the lineup for England, James Benge.
At the moment, we're still kind of waiting for indications. There are a few rumors that have flown around this week that Marcus Rashford might come into the team. An interesting one, considering that this Scotland team is going to defend really deep. So maybe there's more of an argument for playing two creators. Bit of debate around Harry Kane. Certainly not one that Gareth Southgate is getting involved in terms of him not scoring. I think there are a few maybe England viewers who were quite surprised to see basically how Harry Kane plays now, dropping deep, making late runs into the box. I think that will work, but it didn't quite work against Croatia. So, I mean, they're the key selection dilemmas. The other thing to make you aware of, Harry Maguire, Gareth Southgate said in his press conference, is available for selection. We'll see what that means. I'd be surprised if he starts.
Which Maguire called himself fit first, right? Yeah. He was like, hey, everybody, I'm good to go. First he said it, and then England were like, all right, you're fit. Okay.
Yeah. So, and Southgate sort of said, yeah, available. It didn't say.
So I imagine Tyrone Mings out of that.
I think that Mings was good enough that I wouldn't risk Maguire's fitness, and I think let's keep him for game 3. the big one for me is Kieran Tierney being back for Scotland. That changes a lot.
Yes, it does.
He is very comfortable in that left side of a back three role. Allows Robertson to really bomb onto the byline because Tierney will be backing up and delivering those wonderful crosses he does. There are other questions for Scotland. Does Billy Gilmore come in central midfield, give a bit more creativity, a bit more forward looking? And Lyndon Dykes was not great, missed a lot of good chances. So maybe you bring in Che Adams, who kicks the football incredibly hard, always just smashes it off his boot.
Knows this England setup very well, of course, playing for Southampton, and he's a good poacher too. Like, this is going to be intriguing. Now, I'm going to ask you, Bench, you mentioned to create, do you see the same, if Rashford comes in, which again, I agree, that would be intriguing, but Phil Foden stays in this lineup, I guess. I mean, Raheem Sterling did score the winner against Croatia. Are we seeing Jack Grealish on the bench one more time?
Oh yeah, definitely. I know.
It's what you said, right?
Yeah. I know you would be devastated. I know a lot of England fans would be devastated. It is hard to kind of really. The thing with Grealish is he is by far and away the best player on his very good team. Everyone else in this England squad is not the best player, but they're a elite player on an elite team. And so I still just don't know what level Grealish is at. And yes, he plays really well for England. But I think in the end, if given a straight choice between him and Phil Foden, which is what the choice is going to come down to 9 times out of 10, you have to pick Phil Foden. He is, a key cog in spite of the result of the Champions League final, the best team in Europe. I hope Grealish comes on. I think the thing with
which he might, a more tired Scotland who were depending more on the counter, be physical, be stoic at the back. The more the minutes go on, the more you would expect. Okay, then Southgate thinks, let me bring somebody that likes to hold the ball, likes to conduct a free roll, and then causes even more of a nightmare. So I can see that. And to your point about Phil Foden, look, here's the thing, like, Phil Foden fits a Gareth Southgate system better than a Jack Grealish one in many ways because Phil Foden penetrates a box without the ball. He doesn't need it. Like Grealish needs that ball. He needs to direct play. And sometimes that can be a tricky situation in international play. So it would be very interesting. But then again, that's the point about Marcus Rashford too, right? He's looking for that through in the counter. So I'm wondering what he's really thinking on that other side.
I mean, it may well not be Rashford. I think with Grealish, I think we have to be quite honest about how. So this is not Aston Villa. Aside from Aston Villa fans, I think a lot of England fans view him as the nearest approximation, at least with the exception of Wayne Rooney, that England have had to Paul Gascoigne.
Yeah, and,
100%. We can talk about '96 briefly, but there is no player, I think, in recent English footballing history who is as beloved as Gascoigne for his flaws. And, it's worth pointing out Jack Grealish is not above those flaws.
No, he's not. Hey, listen, I grew up during that time in England in the Gaza years, and it's 100% correct. It's exactly the same kind of mirror here. And, this is a different manager, it's a different era and different tactics. And, at the end of the day, it's a win for England against Croatia and looking for 2-0 against Scotland. The only worry for me is that Scotland is going to try and frustrate. So if you're looking to have players that like a Rashford that plays better off the ball, that could be tricky because, it's going to be, I just know this. It doesn't matter who Scotland plays. They're going to play much better when they face England. Mm-hmm. This is going to be the best Scotland side you're going to see. So, I imagine Calvin Phillips, Declan Rice in the middle as well. Right. And then, everything else pointing towards, that front trio with Harry Kane leading up top. And the right side is interesting. The right back side. Did we talk about that? I mean, Kyle Walker didn't have his best day.
Pace though, isn't it? I think he will always get the nod for that pace. I just the only other thing to pick up on, because maybe for American listeners, they're not as familiar with this. That it's not so much the England-Scotland rivalry; it's the Scotland-England rivalry.
Yeah.
there are loads and loads of English fans who wish Scotland well, and I'm sure there are many Scotland fans who wish England well. I haven't met many of them though. There is I
don't think I've met any, but yeah,
there's this a real sort of simmering. I mean, no one likes the English anyway, but I think this is a true international derby grudge match. It's Celtics Lakers. It's a proper grudge match.
Yeah.
Not that there's not friendliness to the relationship between English people and Scottish people, but that this is about how Scotland views itself. If Scotland win, watch what happens to the Scottish National Party and, belief in Scottish independence, things like that.
Yeah.
The whole country, the whole of the United Kingdom is about to come to a standstill.
No, if Scotland win, it's as if they made it to the final. Like it's that big. If not, maybe winning. It's that big. It's a very big game, which is why we wanted to talk about it with so much depth. Do I dare ask you a prediction?
Yes, I think that Scotland will take at least a point.
Wow.
I would be inclined to say a 2-2 draw.
Wow. That would be huge.
I think I've given a different prediction in my written, which I'm now going to have to go back and change.
What did you give in that?
I think then you kind of just think, well, England are much better. They're going to win. But it's just this.
It's just something about a game like this. It doesn't, it's kind of like when you talk about a derby, like it almost previous statistics and analytics kind of go out the window in many ways because there's so much at stake. I think the Wembley crowd might be a factor. If this was in Glasgow, I would venture to, say, yeah, that would be incredible. But regardless, this will be a fantastic game, 3 p.m. Eastern on Friday. James Benge, always a pleasure. We're not going to talk to you till next week. Is there any game this weekend that you're looking forward to aside from that one? I know that Portugal's playing Germany, Spain, Poland, Hungary, France. Anything that appeals to you?
Yeah, I'm kind of hyped for Spain, Poland. I am starting to wonder if Spain might. I mean, we'll probably get out because this stupid group stage that takes forever to get rid of 8 out of 24 teams. But I think things might be getting a bit difficult for Spain, as well as they played, and they did play quite well against Sweden. I think
was it the most passes ever in a Euro game or something?
The most passive. Ball. I say I'm looking forward to it. God, I'll be bored 10 minutes in when Spain have not passed the ball into the box yet.
Well, I mean, Jimmy and I talked about it. Moreno has to start. I really hope he starts and Morata on the bench, but we'll see what happens. I'm excited for that one too. But anyway, it's been a pleasure, James Benge. Benge will be back next week. Don't forget to read his content on CBS Sports and also make sure that you follow him on Twitter, James Benge. Benge, thanks so much, brother.
Thanks, my pleasure.
Hey, everybody. I want to thank James Benge for joining me today. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter, Qué Golazo Pod. Please leave a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts. Please follow us there. We're also on Spotify, Stitcher, youtube.com/Qué Golazo, CBSSports.com, and your CBS Sports app. We got plenty more to come. After this episode, we have a huge weekend preview full of betting tips with Jimmy Conrad and much, much more content. We will see you next time.